Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr.Lamba's Awakening Call. In Canada, we see a curious phenomenon. Every now and then, at intermittent intervals, we find some politicians saying that we should get away from monarchy. And this is done with an awareness that what they are talking about is neither possible nor probable. And yet there are cries. Recently, Queen Victoria's statue was toppled down, along with others, of course. And paradox is on the one side, they bring down the statue of Queen Victoria. On the other side, Queen Victoria's birthday, Victoria Day, is a day of celebration, fireworks, joy, and a feeling of unity with the empire. Similarly, every citizen, every new immigrant has to take an oath of fealty, loyalty to Her Majesty the Queen and her heir. And yet, Queen Elizabeth II's statue was burned down. And then one of the biggest proponents of the British Empire, Mr. Churchill, his statue was blackened, toppled down. And then, a series, uh, cancel culture, culminating in saying that Canada should become a republic, cut away with the umbilical cords that tie it with Great Britain, cut off from monarchy. And beauty is, as I said earlier, the politicians, the political leaders know. The public may not know that that's not possible, that's not feasible. And looking at what these politicians do, US, UK normally doesn't take notice, but this time they took rare notice of the former Canadian colony and asked them to please stop defacing the images of Queen. This was done after protesters pulled down statue of Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth in Manitoba legislature, and it was done in legislative grounds. A spokesman for the British Prime Minister very clearly and candidly said, "We obviously condemn the defacing of the statue of the Queen." Now, it has been a rough year for the Queen statues in Canada, with red paint being thrown on the Victoria statue in BC building, which bears her name. Vandals in the same city decapacitated a bust of Queen Elizabeth II in February. So if you're kicking around bronze royals, what to stop us from taking the real thing? Can you really bid goodbye? And then you spend millions on protocol, on welcoming these royals when they are in Canada, on their safety, on their security. Everything should be better if we were aware that we can't say goodbye to the monarchy. Curiously, England can pass an act in the parliament saying that it's a republic. And next day, after passing the law that England is a republic, England would be a republic. Canada can't do it. Canada is, in fact, irrevocably wedded to monarchy. And the cause of this is nobody else but the Canadian politicians. Every time something controversial happens with the royal family, and that has been happening practically every fortnight since 1990s, we In Canada, here a predictable refrain: abolish the monarchy. On its face, at the face value, the anti-monarchist may have a point. After all, what kind of a sick system would parcel out political power solely on family lineage? It's an anathema in this modern age to have lineage. But that is there. And the problem is that the Canadians may talk a big game about getting rid of the British overlords. The Constitution of Canada is such an irrevocable attribute, has that, which cannot be revoked. And it is impossible to transform Canada into a republic. And I'm amazed. Not a single prime minister till date has countered the demand for removal of monarchy when they should have. And they told the people, look here, you're talking bullshit. It's not possible to do it. Not a single teacher of political science or governance or any lawyer or any judge declared that all this is just sound and fury signifying nothing. Do you know that the constitutional amendment in Canada, especially changing the head of the state, requires the unanimous consent of all 10 provinces? Now, if you look in USA, big decisions require the consensus of two-thirds of states. In India, two-thirds of states, if they pass, approve an amendment, it can be done. But not here in Canada. All the 10 provinces have to agree, and then in each province, two-thirds of the legislature have to agree. Now imagine you bring a resolution, the parliament passes it, Ontario approved it, Quebec approved it, Manitoba approved it, Alberta, British Columbia, name it, and then one small province called PEI says nay, veto. So, and then they don't say veto, the 50% of the people in British PEI say yes, approve it, 60% say approve it, but 66% don't say. And the result is one failed legislative vote in complete kibosh any plans to abolish the country. Now, if you remember, in one time I had said that Canadian Constitution needs to be rewritten. And this is one issue that has to be faced boldly. After all, why not? And then when Prime Minister Harper was there, we brought back the monarchy with a fuller force. It was Canadian economy, Navy, no, it's a Royal Canadian Navy. It was Canadian Air Force, no, it's a Royal Canadian Air Force. So the word addition, the word royal to all the branches shows that our wedlock has become more secure, more enduring, more permanent, and not fragile the way it's happening. Now, if the members of PEI's adorably small legislature don't like your queen firing plan, you're out of luck. And this not only for the PEI, it can happen in any province. So unless the House of Windsor started literally eating people on television, became cannibals, or something worse, the bar for getting rid of them is so high that almost all political theorists are pretty content to say that it's basically impossible. And then, secondly, if you want to change the constitution, rewrite it, again it has to be approved by the 10 provinces. It's a curious dilemma. I mean, see, the people who are writing the constitution did not take into consideration that you cannot make constitution a Bible. You have got to make it a living document. As it is, it's a dead document in the sense it seems to be written in stone. And no living document should be as inviolable as it is. The problem is not with the monarchy, the problem is not with the problem with the original founding fathers and the writers of the Constitution, who did not foresee the need to change the document. Everything needs change. Why not the Constitution? In fact, if you look at the real situation, all the countries that have British monarch at the head of state, Canada is the only country which is wriggled itself into a system that is ensnared in that and it cannot come out of it. Now, compare it with India. The moment India became free, they said, no, we don't want dominion status. We'll have a republic. The constitution was very clear. And then the system of the amendment was given. It has been amended many times. Pakistan, they started with dominion status. Qaid Azam Jinnah was the governor general, but then he said, no, he'll be the president. Then it became a republic. Now, Barbados plans to become a republic. And what they require is only a majority vote from the country's 30 members of parliament. So out of 30, 16 says that they are a republic. Nothing in the world can stop them from being a republic. But here, all the 10 provinces with 66% majority. Now, for example, no governing, most of them are minority governments. And even when they're majority, they don't have 66%. So either they have to take curry favor with opposition, beg them, or accept them. Then, as I said earlier, even in England, the home of monarchy is just a plain act of parliament, a majority, simple majority, and they can fire Her Majesty the Queen. But when Canada participated and patriated its constitution and officially covered this aspect, they committed an error. They severed all meaningful political links with England, but chained ourselves tighter to the British royal family than anybody else in the world. Then one asks why? This was because Canadians never wanted to be independent. Now I'm making such a bold statement. But Canadians by and large are even today mentally slaves of two. One is the British Queen or the Her Majesty. Second, commercially to South USA, now being changed to China under Trudeau's tutelage because he is a lover of China. But the whole political system, the way of thought, the way of trade, even our defense, we have parceled out. We are so mentally impressed by our neighbor and by our ties with the Queen that we bound ourselves irrevocably. You know, in the marriage they say, till the death does us part. Here the death is not possible. Even after death, you continue. The only way to do is for the parliament to change the constitution, which is next to impossible. So we have got to live with it as a constitutional monarchy. And imagine the Queen hardly ever visits. It's her nominee, or rather the nominee of the Prime Minister, who poses to be the Viceroy, the Governor General. and presides over the nation, presumably as representative of the queen or the king, as, as the situation may be, but never as an independent head of state. Possibly, Canada is the only country in the world without a visible head of state. And can you believe it? A country which prides itself on being a part of the G7, not having a regular head of state, but it's there. There is a head of state in absentia. So, without much further ado, please stand up for God, save the Queen. That's going to be an everlasting reality. And no amount of shouting, no amount of political posturing can change that fact. Accept it. Your oath of allegiance, your constitution binds you to the Queen forever and forever. Thank you.